They say the week before your wedding is the most exciting, most chaotic, and most joyful time of your life. For me, it started with a strange silence. Ava, my fiancée of nearly 3 years, had always been close to her parents. I never faulted her for it. Catherine and Gregory had this old-world aura about them. Polished, wealthy, surgically polite. They made me feel like a museum piece they hadn't quite decided to keep or discard. I was a high school English teacher from a quiet family. They were not. Still, I thought we were getting there. We had the venue, the dress, guest list locked, cake tasting done. Savannah was blooming that month, and it felt like our timing was perfect. Every detail had been obsessed over, mostly by Ava's mother, of course, but I didn't complain. I was marrying the woman I loved. Then came the trip. Ava told me over coffee, almost casually, my parents want to take me on a little family getaway. One last trip before everything changes. Her smile didn't quite reach her eyes, but I dismissed it. Why make a scene? It was just a few days in Miami, a harmless luxury. She left on a Thursday. By Saturday, my stomach had begun its quiet rebellion. Logan, my best friend since college, lives in Miami. I hadn't even thought to mention the trip to him. It didn't seem important, but that night, as he was working his shift at an upscale bar downtown, he called me. "Hey man," he said, voice low and careful. "Isn't Ava supposed to be with her family this weekend?" "Yeah. Why?" He hesitated. "I think I just saw her, with her parents, and another guy." I went cold. He described the scene: VIP booth, Catherine's laugh echoing, Ava sipping from a martini glass, and a stranger beside her. A tall man, sharp haircut, expensive clothes. She wasn't leaning away. They looked close. I sat with that image for a long time. I didn't eat. I didn't sleep. I stared at our wedding itinerary and tried to breathe. Then something cracked inside me, not in grief. Not yet. It was the kind of crack that lets light in. A strange, focused fury. Sunday morning, I made my first call. I don't usually make impulsive decisions, but that Sunday, I was a man on a mission. Logan's call had burned through my nerves all night. I didn't confront Ava. I didn't send angry texts. I didn't call her parents demanding answers. I took a different route, one that wouldn't leave room for denial. By mid-morning, I had found a private investigator in Miami. His name was Jordan. Discreet, fast, and apparently used to catching cheating spouses before expensive ceremonies. I paid extra to have him shadow Ava, Catherine, and Gregory for the remainder of their trip. He didn't ask many questions. He didn't need to. The first batch of photos came Monday afternoon. By Tuesday, I had video footage. By Wednesday, I had a full report. I wish I could say I was surprised, but when you already know the truth, evidence doesn't shock you, it just validates the ache. They went everywhere together. Dinner at a rooftop restaurant, cocktails by the pool, shopping in boutiques Ava always claimed were too flashy for her. And the man? His name was Evan, apparently. Blonde, rich, and suspiciously comfortable under Catherine's approving gaze. There was a photo one I kept going back to. Ava and Evan seated close at dinner, her hand resting on his knee under the table. Catherine and Gregory in the background, laughing like proud parents on prom night. That was the moment my love story died. I didn't tell anyone. Not Logan, not Sophie, not even my own family. I needed more than sympathy. I needed clarity. I wanted to look Ava in the eye and see what kind of lie she'd tell me. She returned late Sunday night. Monday morning, she came over. I had coffee brewing, her favorite mug ready, Future Miss S, printed in gold. She didn't touch it. She didn't sit either. Just stood there, eyes darting like she was trapped in her own home. Then she said it. No emotion, just business. "I think we should take a break." Not "I'm sorry," not "let's talk," just a break. 5 days before our wedding, I didn't flinch. I didn't raise my voice. I simply reached for the folder sitting on the counter and handed it to her. "That's interesting," I said, "because I just got some information about that trip." She opened it. Her expression didn't change at first, just a slight wrinkle in her forehead. Then page by page, I watched her cheeks flush. Her fingers tightened as she flipped through the photos again and again, like repetition might change the story. It didn't. That's when the front door opened. Catherine strolled in like she owned the place, planner in hand. Gregory followed, already halfway through a call. They looked at me like I was late to a brunch reservation. Then Catherine saw the folder, saw Ava's face, saw me, calm, composed, holding my coffee like I was watching a rehearsal. The silence that followed was loud. Ava whispered, "How did you get these?" I shrugged. "Does it matter?" Gregory finally looked up, eyebrows raised, but said nothing. Catherine, ever the actress, tried to laugh. "Oh, Ethan, don't be dramatic." Ava's voice cracked for the first time. "Mom, what is this?" She didn't answer. She didn't have to, because Ava already knew. And that was the first time I saw it in her eyes, not guilt, not regret, fear. For a while, nobody said anything. Ava stood with the folder clutched in her hands like it was a live grenade. Gregory moved to the corner of the room, pretending to scroll through his phone, as if detachment could somehow shield him from involvement. Catherine was already moving toward the kitchen island like we were about to discuss floral arrangements. "We can talk this out," she said smoothly, placing her planner on the counter like nothing had happened. "It's not as serious as it looks." That's when something inside me finally snapped. Not in a violent way, not in a raised voice, slam the door kind of way. No, it was colder, sharper, more focused. "Not serious?" I echoed, still calm. "You arranged a trip, brought along a stranger, paraded her around in front of your daughter's fiancé, and now you want to talk about table settings?" She rolled her eyes in a way only the self-assured and pathologically entitled could. "You're overreacting. We just wanted Ava to meet new people. A week before the wedding?" Ava stayed quiet, still looking at the report like it might vanish if she stared hard enough. I turned to her. "Tell me the truth, Ava. Was this the plan from the beginning? You just needed a graceful way out?" "No," she said, too fast. "I didn't know they invited Evan until we were already in Miami. I didn't think it was a big deal." "You didn't think it was a big deal," I repeated flatly. "To have him sleeping in the same resort suite, joining you at dinners, posing in photos while your mom played matchmaker?" She looked down. "I didn't do anything with him. I swear. That wasn't the point. It had never been the point." Gregory finally spoke, looking annoyed. "Let's not make this messier than it needs to be. We were looking out for Ava's long-term happiness. We thought—" "You thought what?" I cut in. "That you'd test drive a new model while keeping the old one in the garage? That I'd sit here planning our wedding while you set her up with someone else? Like she's an auction item?" He didn't answer. Catherine did. "We just want what's best for her. You come from humble beginnings. You're not exactly the type our family usually—" "Stop," Ava said quietly. Catherine blinked. "What? Just stop." Her voice wavered, but her hands finally dropped the folder onto the table with a slap. I studied her, not to see if she was sorry. I already knew she wasn't. I was looking for the thread, the weak point, the part that made her complicit in this. Then my phone buzzed. It was Logan. A single-line text. "Chloe's still here, and she's been talking." I stared at the screen for a moment before locking eyes with Catherine again. "How much did you pay her?" I asked. She blinked. "Excuse me? Chloe? Evan's tag-along? The one who conveniently arrived in Miami at the exact time and location as your family trip? She's been running her mouth in bars, saying she was flown out, given gifts, promised something big if she got close enough to me." Catherine chuckled dryly. "Oh, please. She's exaggerating. You didn't deny it." Gregory shifted awkwardly. Ava said nothing. "Let me guess," I continued. "You figured if Chloe could make me hesitate, maybe even slip up, it would give Ava a clean excuse to call things off. You'd frame me as confused, unready, emotionally unavailable. Am I close?" Catherine smiled faintly, like I'd just passed her twisted version of a test. "It wasn't personal," she said. "We just wanted options. Options." Ava stepped back from the counter like she wanted to disappear. Her eyes shimmered not with tears, but with guilt she hadn't figured out how to disguise. "I didn't ask for this," she said. "I didn't want it to be like this. But you let it happen," I replied. "You went along with it. You could have told them no. You could have called me. You could have come home early." She didn't answer. I walked over to the counter, picked up the folder again, and pulled out a photo. Evan leaning over Ava, whispering something in her ear while Catherine looked on, smug and satisfied. I turned the photo toward Gregory. "You signed off on this?" He looked away. "And you," I said, looking back at Catherine. "Did you really think this wouldn't come out? That I'd just quietly disappear and let you manufacture Ava's next chapter?" "We were trying to protect her," she said smoothly, as if that were justification for psychological warfare. "No," I said. "You were trying to control her." There was silence again, tense, thick, suffocating. Then my phone buzzed once more. Another message from Logan. "She told someone you two were never meant to last. Said Catherine promised her the wedding would be handled." I placed the phone face up on the counter. Catherine glanced at it, then back at me. You're bluffing, she said. I'm not. And even if I was, you just told me everything I need to know. Gregory adjusted his blazer, visibly uncomfortable. Ava finally sat down, folding her arms over her chest, like she was trying to protect herself from her own reflection. So, I said, what's next? Do we keep pretending this wedding is happening? Or do I go ahead and let everyone know why it's not? Catherine straightened her back. You wouldn't dare. I raised an eyebrow. I have the photos. I have the audio. And Chloe? She's still in town, asking when I'm coming back. Sounds like she didn't get the memo that your plan failed. Ava looked at me then, really looked at me. She didn't say it, but her face said enough. You weren't supposed to find out, but I had. And now they knew I knew. And I wasn't going to play along anymore. I didn't sleep that night. You'd think I'd be angry or broken, but I wasn't either, not really. I felt something colder, sharper, like the last piece of confusion had finally been burned off, and what was left was just clarity. Ava never truly defended me. Catherine never hid her disdain. Gregory stayed silent and smug, thinking wealth gave him immunity. And Chloe? She wasn't a mistake. She was a strategy. By sunrise, I knew exactly what I needed to do. I forwarded everything, the report, the photos, the video clips to Logan. He'd been waiting for it. The man loved a well-structured scandal. I sent Sophie a text. Meet me at the venue. Noon. Need backup. She responded with a skull emoji and, oh hell yes. Then I made one more call to Catherine. We need to do a final walkthrough at the venue, I said. Some last-minute details. She sounded thrilled. Of course. I've been meaning to finalize the seating chart. Naturally, they all arrived a few minutes before noon. Ava, in a beige dress and stiff composure. Catherine, in power heels and pearls. Gregory, trailing behind like a corporate shadow. And finally, Chloe. She came late, of course, in a white cocktail dress, short, sparkly, unapologetically bridal. When she saw me standing by the main reception table with Sophie, her red lips curled into a smug little smirk. I didn't realize this was a group meeting, she said, loud enough to echo off the chandelier. I didn't respond. I just turned and walked to the stage at the front of the room, the place where we were supposed to say our vows. A laptop sat there, already connected to the venue projector. I opened it, clicked once. The screen behind me lit up. First slide, Ava and Evan, poolside. Second slide, Catherine and Chloe sipping cocktails at the hotel bar, smiling like co-conspirators. Third, Evan kissing Ava's cheek. Gregory standing nearby, not flinching. You could hear the air change. Then came the video. Ruth's voice, no. Catherine's voice, calm and elegant, played over speakers. Once this little wedding blows over, you and Ethan will have all the time in the world. The room was silent. Even Chloe stopped smiling. I stepped down from the platform and faced them. Anyone want to explain that? Ava looked like she might cry, but not from regret, from exposure. Catherine's lips pressed into a thin line. You're making this into a scandal. No, I said. You already did that. I'm just making sure it has the proper lighting. Gregory finally raised his voice. Let's not get theatrical. I looked at him. I'm a teacher. We don't have time for theatrics. Just facts. And I've got about 30 pages of them. Catherine straightened. Ethan, this isn't helping. You didn't actually sleep with Chloe, so nothing happened. You hired her, I replied. She told half of South Beach that you flew her out to test my loyalty. She told her friends she was promised a future. Told them the wedding was already falling apart and she was just sealing the deal. Chloe shrugged. They ask a lot of questions at bars. I might have. Embellished, interesting, I said, because you're still in town. Still asking Logan when I'm coming back. That made Ava turn. You what? Chloe blinked, surprised Ava hadn't known. You're still here? Ava asked, voice rising. You told me you were flying out 2 days ago. I changed my mind, Chloe said, suddenly defensive. I thought things were still happening. You thought wrong, I said. Catherine waved a hand like she was brushing off dust. This is childish. You're turning a small misunderstanding into a circus. No, I said. I'm finally making sense of the circus you built around me. Sophie, bless her, had been quiet the whole time, sipping her coffee in the back. Now she stood. You know what's funny? She said, addressing the room. We spent months planning this wedding. We wrote your daughter into every speech. Picked her flowers, walked the aisle in our heads, And all the while, you were staging auditions for her replacement. Catherine's nostrils flared. This is not your concern. It's very much my concern, Sophie replied, because I care about Ethan. And your daughter let this happen. She played the role of innocent while you pulled the strings. Ava opened her mouth, closed it again. I looked at her. Tell me honestly, were you ever going to call it off yourself? Or were you waiting for me to give you an excuse? She hesitated. I didn't know what I wanted. Then why were you shopping for someone else's future? Gregory finally spoke again. We didn't think you'd handle this maturely. I turned back toward the screen, now frozen on a picture of Chloe with her arm around me, her face smug, mind distracted. A photo taken before I understood I was being hunted. I looked over my shoulder. You were right. Then I closed the laptop, because if I were really mature, I'd let this slide. I'd shake hands, walk away, and let the whispers die down. But I'm not feeling generous today. Catherine stepped forward. What are you planning to do? I stared at her for a long moment. Let the guests know. Let the venue know. Let everyone who RSVP'd to this wedding know why it's not happening. And maybe I'll attach that lovely video clip to a group email, just for clarity. Gregory's face went red. Don't be petty. No, I said. I'll be honest, which is apparently a foreign concept to this family. I packed up the laptop, zipped it into my bag, and turned to Ava. This was the last time any of you will ever see me. And then I walked out. Sophie followed without hesitation. You handled that like a king, she muttered. Did I asked. Absolutely. That was better than slapping someone. We stepped into the afternoon light, the door closing behind us. I didn't look back. The first few hours after I walked out of that venue felt like stepping off a stage into dead air. No applause. No fireworks. Just me, Sophie, and the echo of a life that almost was. But it didn't take long for the news to spread. Catherine tried to get ahead of it, of course. She spun the story into something about irreconcilable differences and a mutual decision to postpone. She even sent a pre-written message to select guests that read like a press release. Cold, polished, unbelievable. What she didn't count on was Chloe. You'd think someone who was paid to lie would at least know how to shut up. But Chloe, who had apparently mistaken me for a stepping stone to social prestige, decided to get vocal. Within 24 hours, she was on Instagram, posting filtered selfies with captions like #futureupgrade and from side piece to main event. She even posted a blurry shot of the venue, tagging it location of my almost dream. Logan called me that night. Your ex-fiance's backup plan just soft launched your failed wedding. Good, I said. Let her. Every post is proof. And just like that, the story exploded. By midweek, half the guests who were supposed to attend the wedding had reached out, some with sympathy, some with pure gossip-fueled fascination. Apparently, Chloe had told people at the hotel bar that she'd been promised a ring. That Catherine had said, don't worry, he's soft. He'll fold if you're pretty enough. Catherine's friends started backing away, first quietly, then publicly. One of them, a woman named Meredith, even sent me a message on Facebook. I always suspected something was off with her. You're better off, Ethan. Truly. Gregory, I'm told he's been going to the country club less, which, to a man like him, probably counts as social exile. And Ava, we didn't speak. Not once. Not even after Chloe's inevitable crash and burn, when she realized there was no real proposal. No lifestyle upgrade, no security. Just fallout. Just rumors. She vanished from social media a few weeks later. Blocked me. Blocked Sophie. Blocked Logan. Last I heard, she moved out of her apartment and in with her sister upstate. A mutual friend told me she needed space from the noise. I never responded, because while they were all scrambling to clean the mess, I was busy doing something radical, healing. It wasn't pretty. There were days I woke up and forgot we weren't getting married. Days when I'd catch myself rehearsing a speech I'd never give. But slowly, those moments turned from sharp stings to dull echoes. Sophie refused to let me wallow. The week the wedding was supposed to happen, she showed up at my place with a bottle of champagne and a cake. We're throwing a non-wedding party, she declared. You mean a pity party? No, she said, grinning. A liberation party. We invited a small group, just real friends. No drama, no fake toasts. Just laughter, karaoke, and cake. I didn't wear a suit. I didn't toast to new love. I toasted to freedom. Somewhere between the third round of drinks and Logan's off-key rendition of Don't Stop Believin', it hit me. I wasn't sad anymore. I wasn't angry either, not even at Ava. I was free. I was no longer tied to a woman who let others script her life. I was no longer wrapped around a family that measured love by bank accounts and golf memberships. I was no longer someone they could manipulate with fake politeness and veiled insults. And for the first time in weeks, I felt light. Later that night, Sophie sat next to me on the back porch as we watched the fairy lights blink in the trees. "You did it," she said softly. "I didn't plan to," I admitted. "I just reacted." "No," she said. "You responded. There's a difference." I let the silence hang between us. Then I asked her something that had been haunting me. "Do you think I missed the signs?" She didn't answer right away, just sipped her drink and looked out at the yard. "Then you trusted her. That's not a failure." I nodded. Maybe she was right. Maybe believing in someone isn't the mistake. Maybe it's holding on after the mask slips that costs the most. As I write this now, months later, the wedding that never happened feels like a lifetime ago. The venue has hosted 3 other weddings since. I know because the coordinator reached out and said she hoped things were okay. I told her thank you and that I hope the others made it to the aisle. Logan still sends me the occasional Chloe meme. Remember her? He'll text with a picture of a raccoon in a tiara. I always laugh, not because it's funny, but because I can. Because I'm allowed to. Ava hasn't reappeared. I think part of her is still hoping no one else finds out how deep the plan went. But honestly, I don't care. I got what I needed, myself. And sometimes, walking away is the loudest revenge of all. Story 2. My name's Chris. I'm 23, work in finance, and live a pretty normal life. No big tragedies, no hero's journey, just a guy who thought he'd found something real and ended up blindsided. I met Elise in college when I was 20. She was a year younger, studying media communications, and from the minute we met, it was like we were synced. We had this effortless rhythm, laughing at the same jokes, finishing each other's sentences, sending memes back and forth in the middle of class. It felt like one of those early 2000s rom-coms, the kind where you just know it'll end with a wedding. For 3 years, we were inseparable. I celebrated her wins, helped her through her losses, and pictured my future with her in it. When I got my first real job after graduation, an analyst role at a boutique firm, I started thinking seriously about a proposal. I talked to her sister about ring styles, booked a table at a rooftop restaurant she'd always wanted to try, and had the ring tucked away in a drawer, ready to go. I was going to propose on Saturday, but everything changed on Thursday. Elise shared an apartment with 2 of her college friends, and that night we had dinner plans. I thought I'd be cute, bring her a caramel latte from her favorite cafe, surprise her at the door. Just one of those good boyfriend gestures. So I drove over, coffee in hand, climbed the steps to her unit, and right as I got to the door, I stopped. Laughter. I recognized Elise's voice immediately. She was talking to her friends, laughing so loud it echoed into the hallway. I smiled. At least she was in a good mood. Then I heard my name. "Oh my God, can you imagine his face when he proposes?" Elise said between giggles. "He'll probably start crying, and I'll just be like, no thanks. Loser." More laughter. I stood there, frozen. Did I just hear that? One of her friends, pretty sure it was Chelsea, chimed in. Wait, you're seriously gonna dump him right after he proposes?" "Obviously," Elise replied, as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. "He's sweet and all, but come on, I can do better. It's almost summer. I'm not trying to play house with a guy who wears loafers to brunch." The air left my lungs. Elise kept going, laughing harder. "He still thinks we're some kind of fairy tale couple. I forgot our anniversary last month, and he brought me flowers like I was the one who was upset." More laughter. "I mean, it's not like I've been trying that hard lately, and he still kisses the ground I walk on. He's so easy to manipulate." I didn't knock. I didn't say a word. I turned around and left. Back home, I sat in silence, the engagement ring on the coffee table in front of me. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I just stared at that tiny symbol of commitment like it was a joke I didn't get. That's the thing, I don't get loud when I'm angry. I get focused. Elise thought she was pulling off some big cinematic twist, a dramatic dump right after I poured my heart out, maybe with an audience. She wanted a moment, so I gave her one. The next morning, I texted her like nothing had happened. Me, "Hey babe, sorry I flaked last night. Work had me fried. Want to do something special this weekend? My treat." Her response came minutes later. "Elise, oh, of course. I missed you fake, but convincing. She had no idea. Me, let's go all out. Fancy dinner. You deserve to be spoiled. Elise, yes, I'll wear that red dress you love perfect. While she planned her dress, I planned her downfall. I reserved a private room at an upscale spot downtown. I invited her 2 best friends, including Chelsea. If they thought it was funny the first time, I wanted them front row for the sequel. The last piece of the puzzle, a little audio insurance. I had a security camera in my car with a pretty decent mic. When I got home after hearing that conversation, I sat down and recorded myself recounting exactly what I heard. Then I used a simple voice synthesis tool to overlay their exact words. Took some time, but it worked. By Saturday night, everything was ready. Elise showed up looking like she stepped off a magazine cover. Red dress, hair curled. The same lipstick I once said made her look like a movie star. You look gorgeous, I said, kissing her on the cheek. She giggled. You clean up nice too, Mr. Romantic. I drove us downtown, made small talk, smiled when I had to. Every part of me wanted to shout the truth at her, but I stayed cool. When we walked into the restaurant, I led her to the private dining room. She froze in the doorway. Her friends were already there, dressed up and confused. What's this? She asked. I smiled. Wanted tonight to be special. Thought it'd be nice to celebrate with the people you're closest to. She blinked, then gave a tight smile. Ah, that's sweet. She sat down. I pulled out the little velvet box from my pocket and stood in front of her. Her eyes widened. She covered her mouth with both hands. Her friends leaned forward, ready to witness a TikTok-worthy proposal. I dropped to one knee. Elise, I began, keeping my voice soft and sincere. You mean the world to me. She was already nodding, practically vibrating with fake excitement. But I've realized something, I continued. The person I thought you were the woman I was ready to spend my life with. She doesn't exist. Her smile dropped. The room tensed. I reached into my pocket and pulled out my phone. Then I hit play. Elise's voice filled the room, loud, clear. Every word of that conversation from her apartment replayed in perfect detail. Can you imagine his face when he proposes? He's so easy to manipulate. Obviously, I can do better. Gasps. Forks clinking. Chelsea's eyes went wide. The other friend turned pale. Elise looked like she'd been slapped. I don't know what's more pathetic, I said, standing up, that you thought I'd never find out, or that you surrounded yourself with people who laughed at you treating someone like trash. Elise tried to speak. Chris, wait. I raised a hand. Don't bother. I'm not here for a scene. I'm here for closure. I looked around the table. Thanks for coming, ladies. Hope you enjoyed the performance. I know I did. Then I turned and walked out. That night, I slept better than I had in months. Elise, not so much. She showed up 2 nights later at my building. Mascara streaked down her face, screaming into the intercom at 2 a.m. Chris, please, just talk to me. I was stupid. I didn't mean it. You know I love you. I watched from my window, sipping a beer. You made your choice, I said into the mic. Now live with it. And I went back to bed. After that night at the restaurant, I didn't hear from Elise for a full 24 hours. Then it began. Texts, dozens of them, maybe hundreds. Some were long paragraphs filled with dramatic apologies. Others just one word, please. Chris, please. I was being stupid. I miss you. Can we just talk? I didn't answer. I didn't even open them half the time. The words didn't mean anything anymore. You can't beg for trust after you lit it on fire yourself. But Elise didn't give up. Next came the calls. 30 in a day, then 50. I blocked her number. She switched to Instagram DMs. Blocked. Then came emails, fake accounts, burner numbers. It was like watching someone slowly unravel. And still I felt nothing but peace. Not satisfaction, not anger, just peace. She used to own so much of my mental space. And now, she couldn't even reach me. I guess that's what real closure feels like. 2 nights after everything went down, around 2:00 a.m., the buzzing started. My apartment intercom rang like it was on a loop. I was half asleep, groggy, but I stumbled to the screen by the door and looked. There she was. Outside in the cold, wrapped in an oversized hoodie, hair messy, no makeup, crying hard enough that her shoulders shook. Chris, she sobbed into the mic. I'm sorry. Please. I didn't mean it. I was just trying to be funny. I didn't think you'd find out. I watched her, silent. A part of me, the soft, naive part that used to leave flowers by her bed, almost wanted to let her in. But then I remembered her laughing about how easy I was to manipulate. So I pressed the button and said just one thing. Elise, go home. She froze. Just let me come up. Please, let me explain. I shook my head. You already did. Then I ended the call, just like that. No drama, no yelling, Just a click. She stood there for a few seconds, staring at the intercom, her face unreadable, and then she slowly turned and walked away. That was the last time I saw her in person until months later. In the weeks that followed, Elise went into full breakdown mode. At first, it was all about winning me back. She kept trying to guilt me, twisting the narrative to make it seem like I was the bad guy. "Chris, you're being so cold. It was just a joke. I can't believe you'd throw away 3 years over one stupid comment. You're really gonna make me look like the villain?" That last one made me laugh out loud. Not even bitter laughter, just honest disbelief. Like, yes, Elise, you are the villain. You wrote your own role. Eventually, she pivoted from guilt to desperation. "I think I left a necklace at your place. Can I come get it? My mom wants to talk to you. She says this is all a misunderstanding. I'm having a panic attack. Please, I just need to hear your voice." I didn't answer a single one. She kept trying. I kept living. I hit the gym every day, focused on work, started rebuilding the parts of me that had been quietly neglected during our relationship. When people say relationships can wear you down without you even noticing, they're right. Elise didn't scream or throw tantrums. She just drained me slowly, one manipulation at a time. A guilt trip here, a jab there, always making me feel like I had to prove my love for her. Now, I was done proving anything to anyone. I started eating better, sleeping better. I even went on a few dates, nothing serious, just meeting people, reminding myself what actual mutual respect looks like. Meanwhile, Elise was burning bridges like it was a job. The same friends who had laughed with her that night, they weren't laughing anymore. Chelsea and the others stopped talking to her. Word got around. People heard the audio clip she must have forgotten, how quickly a group chat can go from private to viral when someone crosses a line. Soon enough, Elise started showing up in mutual circles as a ghost. Nobody wanted to invite her out. Nobody wanted to be caught standing next to her when the next disaster hit. I didn't say a word to anyone, didn't try to defend myself or tell my side, didn't need to. Sometimes karma doesn't need help. You just have to get out of the way and let it do its thing. Then came the part I wasn't expecting, the pity play. A few mutual friends reached out not to take her side, but just to say, "Hey, just so you know, Elise is telling people you broke her heart out of nowhere." Apparently, she painted this picture of me as some emotionally unavailable boyfriend who ghosted her out of the blue. Wild, right? She went full damsel. I didn't argue. I didn't post about what really happened. I didn't even respond to the few messages from people fishing for my version of the story. Because here's the thing. I didn't care if people believed her. I knew what happened, and so did she. About 6 weeks after the breakup, I found out Elise had started dating some guy she met through a mutual friend. She made sure I saw it, changed her profile pic, posted cheesy captions like "sometimes the best things come after heartbreak." It was so on the nose, it was almost sad. She wanted to show me she'd moved on, that I hadn't broken her. But it didn't last. 2 weeks later, she deleted the photos. Word on the street, he found out what happened between us and backed out fast. Guess people don't line up to date someone who publicly humiliated their ex for clout and then got exposed for it. Funny how that works. Meanwhile, I was leveling up. I landed a promotion at work, started seeing someone casually, a kind, grounded woman with no hidden agendas. Nothing serious yet, but it was refreshing. No games, no manipulations. Just two people figuring things out with honesty. I didn't rush anything. I wasn't looking to fill a void. I was just enjoying the quiet. The simplicity of being alone without being lonely. Elise, on the other hand, was still spiraling. A friend sent me a screenshot of a cryptic Instagram story she posted. Some people don't realize what they had until it's gone. It had a black and white filter and everything. The irony, she never appreciated what she had. And now that it was gone, all she had left was performative grief and recycled captions. One night, a friend asked me, "Would you ever take her back if she really changed?" And I didn't even have to think about it. "No," I said, "because if you can fake love for 3 years, you can fake change for 5. It had been about 2 months since the night I walked away from Elise for good. Long enough for the dust to settle, but not so long that people forgot what happened. I'd like to say things went back to normal, but the truth is, I found something better than normal. I found peace. No more checking my phone out of habit. No more second-guessing myself after every argument. No more trying to decode passive-aggressive texts or wondering if I was enough. For the first time in years, I could just exist without apology, without pressure, without walking on eggshells. I'd wake up on a Saturday and go for a run just because the sky looked good. I'd meet a friend for coffee and actually enjoy the conversation, instead of waiting for, "Where are you?" text to pop up. I started living for myself, not in a selfish way, but in a way that felt honest, clean, and yeah, Elise still tried to reach out here and there. A random birthday message, a "saw this and thought of you" text that I never opened. All deleted, unread. Sometimes silence says everything. Then came the part I didn't expect. I was grabbing a coffee at this little spot near the office place I started going to, just because they always remembered my name and got the phone right. I was waiting on my order, scrolling through some work emails, when I heard a voice behind me. "Chris?" I turned around and there she was, Elise. She looked different, not bad, just tired. There was something in her eyes, like whatever shine she used to walk around with had been dulled down by life. She gave me a small, careful smile. "Hey," I nodded. "Hey." There was a pause. One of those awkward ones that stretched just a little too long. Then she spoke. "How've you been?" I didn't hesitate. "Good. Really good, actually." Her smile flickered. That's great. I've been meaning to say I'm sorry. I've thought about that night a lot. About everything. I didn't say anything. Just let her talk. "I was stupid," she said, looking down at her shoes. "I treated you like a backup plan. And the worst part is, you didn't deserve it. You were always good to me." I nodded. "I know." She looked up, eyes a little glassy. "I don't expect anything. I just hope one day you can forgive me." I took a sip of my coffee and met her gaze. "Elise." I already did. Her eyes lit up a little, like maybe that meant something more. But then I added, "That doesn't mean I want you back. It just means I don't carry it anymore." She blinked, like she wasn't expecting that. "I moved on," I said, calm, not cold, just firm. "You taught me a lesson I didn't know I needed, and I'm grateful for that." Her lips parted like she wanted to say something, but then she just nodded slowly. "Well," she said, barely above a whisper, "I'm glad you're doing well. I hope you do too," I replied. Then I turned and walked out. Some people wait for revenge to feel complete. They want to see someone fall apart, suffer, beg, but I learned something different. True peace isn't watching someone fall. It's realizing you don't need to see it at all. The people who hurt others, who lie, manipulate, betray, they're already carrying the weight. Maybe not right away, but it builds, slowly, then all at once. Me, I let go of that weight, and the freedom that came with it, that was the real victory. Final thoughts. If there's anything I'd tell someone going through something similar, it's this. Don't waste your energy trying to make someone see your worth. Don't twist yourself into knots hoping they'll appreciate you. If they don't see it now, they never really saw it at all. Walk away with your head high, your heart intact, and your dignity untouched. Because the best revenge is healing, quietly, fully, without needing applause. And the best closure is no longer needing to look back.